Okay, my friends, I am going to discuss the solar system, the galaxy, the origin of our universe as far as I can tell. Now, I can't tell where the universe came from, but I can tell you how our solar system evolved. And it evolved just like this accretion disk. And when they talk about the Earth, the earliest statements were the Earth was, everything was chaos and swirling and spinning and all that. And that's exactly what would happen. And then all of a sudden, it would collapse to a point where light would start to emit because it would be so much interaction. Now, it's exactly what it says in the ancient text, of let there be light. At a certain point, there was just chaos, swirling chaos. Let there be light. And then after that, as far as I know, there was no rain on Earth, which is exactly what would happen. It would have to condense and condense and condense and condense. And then all of a sudden one day, poof, there would be a ton of water would come down because all of the gases would at that point condense to a point where, just like condensation, if you understand how condensation happens, it's compressed oxygen and hydrogen and it turns into water. So that's when you would have the rain. Now, I don't want to argue about the size of the Earth and all that business. Please don't do that. I have to remove you because they take me off of, they put me in a Never Never Land because the algorithm, people talking about, and I can't even say the words. The Earth is a sphere. Now, let's just go with that. And I go with space, and I understand Mars, I understand the whole mechanism here. And you will if you watch this. If you don't want to know about it, that's fine. Don't come and fight here. You're going to be removed. It's just a warning. Take it from there. Now, this is what our galaxy is doing. It's spinning. And what does that mean? All of the material in front of these arms is pushing it back, and that's making it glow. And then there'll be a dark side, and then there'll be a glowy side, and a dark side, and a glowy side. That is the push to shove, push to shove, push to shove. And as it keeps pushing harder and harder, it gets crushier and crushier, and this gets turned into a tight ball, and then they call it the black hole. Is at a certain point, there'll be so much mass crushed into that center that it will just pull more mass into it, and it doesn't have a whole lot of emission. It will have a tremendous amount of glow right at the point where it's sucking in all, because that also explodes particles out. So you don't see a black hole as black. You see a black hole as an extremely glowy place in space. It's not black. Okay, I just want to be respectfully, please don't type these words whatsoever in any comments. I will have to remove you. I'm sorry. This is what puts me in a place where nobody will ever see this research. I am going to be talking about the Earth and how the Earth interacts. And at one time, there was an accretion disk that became the Earth. I'm going to go through in the beginning and we're going to talk about the chaos and how the light formed and all of that stuff. But if you put these words in, I get put into Never Never Land. So please don't do it. It just becomes an argument that, please don't do it. That's all. I'm just asking respectfully. That's all I can say. All right, so here we are. This is our solar system. That's our sun. And all the planets are revolving around the sun as it is pulled on the arm of the galaxy. All right, I showed you the galaxy is pulling. Now, what happens? There's all kinds of particles out here. There's tons and tons and tons of particles. And what are those particles? They are light, solar dust, everything. They're just gigantic amounts of particles out here. And they have just realized that there is a ton of dust and sand particles way up in our atmosphere they never suspected were there before. Now, see these scratches? I dropped something on my screen, so forget about that. That's not part of this. Now, as that scrubs through, you see the sun? The sun is like spinning this way, and it's driving all the particles off, the same as us, as we hit. And we're charging up because as they hit, they load up our atmosphere with particles. And what do those particles look like? They look just like this. All right, we are, well, this is obviously, the sun is not this small and is not this close. But the sun has its own corona. The corona is like where its atmosphere crushes into the atmosphere of space, which I showed you that particles being ripped off the sun is basically the same thing. Only we're crushing into particles that are coming at us from the sun and from every other luminous place in space. There is no place in space that doesn't have particles. They're everywhere, 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 everywhere. If this is spitting out particles everywhere, well, what do you think is there? Nothing? Obviously there's something there. We're scrubbing through all of that stuff. Our particles are pushing and they are shoving back. It's push to shove, it creates heat. How hot do you think it is out here? How hot do you think it is out there? Should be pretty cold, right? Guess what? 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Why? Why? I know why. Because it's scrubbing. It's just like scrubbing your hand against your other hand like this, and you can feel the heat. It's the same with this. It's and it's the same as I showed you with the motor and the sun spinning and the particles. No difference whatsoever. And the sun on its surface is 7,000 degrees. It's pretty hot. Guess what? How hot do you think is it out here in the corona? It should be a lot cooler because it's, the particles are going away. Well, guess what? Where those particles are impacting with the particles in space, it's scrubbing through. It's millions of degrees instead of 7,000. Millions. How does that happen? Absolutely no accountability for this whatsoever. The fusion and no. It's the scrubbing through the particles and heating up the surface and driving those particles out. They can't escape because they're being crushed back in. That's what creates all these fields. That's what creates all this heat. It's nothing more than scrub. And there's nothing that we can do other than to reduce the size of our envelope. And right now our envelope is going like this because we burn so much stuff. And I've been showing electron flood theory. I think I can get free energy, and that could let this envelope shrink. And if we can't shrink that envelope, we're done. 2,700 degrees now, it gets out to here, it's going to be 3,000 degrees. It gets out here, it's going to be 3,500 degrees. We're just cooking. We're just going to cook. Nothing we can do about it unless we take and reduce that scrub zone. And the only way to do that is free energy. All right, hopefully you understand. I do understand electricity. I understand the light particles. We took red laser light, accelerated it through a venturi, split the particles, which that is the actual photon of light. There's a dark and a white spot there, right? That is actually dark matter. They call it the 2p2h particles. Now they're calling it tetraquarks. They're just trying to hide behind a bunch of statements that they could never find these, and we got them from a single little red laser. Very, very, very simple. And we can get free energy right now if they would just pay attention, and they're so embarrassed they can't speak up. Fermilab just refuses to engage. We can split this, and I can show you. I can split that. That is a photon of light, and I can prove it. It's no question whatsoever. That was a laser. All it is light. Light concusses with other particles that are magnetic particles because light is a magnetic particle. They glow in proportion to concussion. This is accelerated. The particle is right here, and that is the particle. Again, I got scratches on my screen. Now, it's accelerating. Bam! Here's where it divides. And at that division, the black and the white particles come completely apart. And that I can show as well. No question whatsoever. And I can actually show that that is what Fermilab would like to see and has not been able to accomplish. The muon neutrino and electron neutrino with a black and white ball. You see they're separated here. The white is the shower, electron shower. The black stayed the muon ball. And that muon ball is dark matter, and that sucker is heavy. It is a bowling ball. And here's what it looks like in its most magnificent form. That's the particle I showed you. That's a photon. Two electrons. That's an electron. That's an electron. Back to back. Two little bar magnets. As it goes this way through the air, this one charges up. It's hitting these. It's charging. It's pushing electrons into it. This one's just trailing behind a piece of dark matter, so it's no glow whatsoever. when they hit that venturi, these two can crush and squirt right through the venturi. These are like black bowling balls. They will not crush, they will not go through the venturi. Here it is right here. Acceleration, particle, stacking up, glowing, exploding, dividing. Black balls, white showers, black balls come back. Fission, fusion. Time to wake up and smell the free energy. And if we can get free energy, we might be able to save the Earth. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's really on the edge of lateness. 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 If we don't get started right this instant, I mean, and to have Fermilab refuse to even talk to me, this we could do for almost nothing. And to spend the money we're doing and get no results whatsoever is just, it's very, very upsetting to me. And if somebody can stand up to me and talk about this and say, no, this isn't right, instead of just saying you're not peer reviewed, so get lost. That is the problem with science today. We have been duped. Okay, another one of these rabbit hole things, but we're going to get back into where I started, was Admiral Byrd and Operation High Jump and the Hollow Earth. And this was his secret diaries, his secret diary that he never released. And this was 1947, right after World War II. And everybody was at edge of trying to, you know, the world was on a real knife's edge, and nobody wanted to give anybody else any information. Everything was hidden, and this was done by our U.S. Navy, the United States Navy, 1947, and he made a secret diary. Now I'm just going to play a minute or so of this, and I understand fully what was happening down there and why these temperatures and so forth. It's because where the Earth comes back, the particles are pinching here. Anytime you pinch particles, you create heat. We're going to go through all. I've done a lot of work on the way the polarity of the Earth works and the spinning and all that stuff. We just went over, and it's all related to light. It's all the same. Everything there is magnetic particles. Now, what will happen at the bottom of the Earth is as we're spinning, those particles are coming up and they're going up through the top. Up through the top, they spread apart. To the bottom, they crush together. That's where your heat is. So he's down in the South Pole. Here's what he has to say. Listen, and again, this is data 1B4. I think that's 1B4. Data 1B4. And it's very, very nicely done. And I am going to put a link to this, or I'm going to go back to this anyway in detail about what he did see and relate it to electron flood theory, because it works perfect. Now, and all of the things we find on Earth now are just absolutely staggering, that what has been uncovered because of the mud fossil research. It all relates. And when you hear what he has to say, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. But this guy he was a hero. He was not some weirdo in a woods somewhere. He had, I think this particular one, he had 56 guys with him or something. Anyway, listen.
Yet there it is. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet.
Wait, let me
and
start
take
a little
binoculars to better examine below. It is green, with either moss or type of tight-knit grass.
Moss.
The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be large animal of some kind below. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible. Yet there it is. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp. 10:30 hours. Encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Continuing on our heading now. Navigate.
Now don't forget, this is Antarctica. This is down South Pole. Nobody's really been there before to speak of. It's been inaccessible, and it's taken on a great importance since the World War. Plus they found all kinds of coal and all kinds of raw materials there. And as Admiral Byrd said, the world is shrinking. Because when they were interviewing us, it's too far to go to get that stuff. We got plenty of it laying around. He said, well, tell you what, the world is shrinking, my friend, and it will become very, very important. And It has been, but we need to get away from this coal and oil and all that stuff. We got to get into electron flood theory generation using lasers and what I showed before for free energy. I think I showed you, or I've shown it hundreds of times. Anyway, here goes.
Navigation instruments seem normal now. I am puzzled over the actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Radio is not functioning.
All right, the radio won't function because you're normally sending out your radio waves through these particles that are just able to disperse. Well, now they're coming in and crushing into you. It's just like you can't do your radio transmissions in the ionosphere, where there's a tremendous amount of electron scrub. It's all going, so you can't send it out because you're getting your things that you're sending out are getting slammed with other things that are crushing into other particles. And here, all these particles are coming in, crushing into all his particles he's trying to send back to his base camp. So he's out of commission as far as talking.
11:30 hours. Countryside below is more level and normal, if I may use that word. Ahead we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. They are disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. It is a type of swastika. This is fantastic. Where are we? What is happening? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. A radio crackles and voice comes through in English for what it perhaps is a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You're in good hands. I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless." 11:40 hours. Another radio message received. We begin the landing process now, and in moments the plane shudders slightly and begins to descend.
Okay, I'm going to cut it off at this point now. We're going to go into this deeply and try to understand what our real past is. And, you know, we know there's been UFOs forever. Everybody's seen them. Well, not everybody, but people have seen them and reported them. Very, very, you know, it's. I don't think there's a whole lot of discussion that they're just fake anymore. It used to be just completely laughed at, just like me. I've been laughed at forever. And now all these things have come to truth. People are starting to realize. And this is one of the things that is pretty damn important because they gave him information that nobody's ever heard before. So we're going to go deep into this. So stick around.